you. Thank you so much, Elana, for coming and speaking to us today. We're so grateful. Thank you so much.
Hello. I'm first of all, you have to excuse me because it's been a year of this and I still haven't gotten used to the Zoom and I don't know where my face is. So I feel like, you talk to yourself and it's a little bit funny. But so if I'm not looking at you, please forgive me because I don't know where still the camera is. Um, it's interesting. I've gone in about 60 births, at least probably during this time of Corona. And I've been a doula now for 12 years, which means I go to birth. And I want to talk to you guys about a topic today I think is so relevant for today. And it's I'm going to share with you some experiences, which is I'll go to a hospital and I'll go with a woman and she's about to bring a neshama into this world. And you walk into the delivery room and I'm always so surprised and amazed that for me, each delivery and each birth and each child that comes into this world is an absolute miracle. And I could be around a staff full of people and them not see that this is a miracle. This could just be a very technical occurrence of daily life. Now, why am I bringing this up to you? Because every Friday night, I light my candles and I daven, and I do work with also a lot of women with infertility. And I myself my husband and I were a few years without children. And as I'm davening for Kadosh Baruch Hu to send a refuah shlema to people who are ill, and I daven for couples that I know that I know personally, and then every single Erev Shabbos, I get a list of a couple from Bonei Olam, which is an organization that helps raise money for tzedakah for couples who need assistance in infertility. And every single week, they give a different name of a different couple. So that means that after I light my candles and I'm davening for a different couple every single week, and I turn around and I look at my children. And what do I see here? I see that it is derech hateva. It's natural for a couple to have children. And it's also derech hateva for a couple not to have children. It could be natural for somebody to walk into a delivery room and see this as being an incredible miracle. And it could be for a doctor who does this 3 times a day as something that's just natural, that it happens. It's not even a miracle. And so here we are. And, a year ago, it was quite interesting. Yerushalayim, right before Pesach, we were in our lockdown and there were no eggs. Right before Pesach, imagine, right before Pesach, there not being any eggs. And I'm telling you, the country went mad. They had to flying in eggs from Spain, from all over the world, because there was a major crisis. We didn't have eggs. And it was such a good point where you go to the supermarket and you take something for granted and you think you're to buy eggs for Pesach. Who can't have eggs for Pesach, right? And you know what? There were no eggs. And you are driving in a car and there's a nature that you could stop and it could be a red light, or you could go and it could be a green light. Meaning everything about our world could be described as something that's just teva, or that's a nes. That's just normal, natural occurrence in life, or that's an absolute miracle. And right now we're approaching the Chag of Purim. And I read a beautiful thing from Rav Shimshon Pinkus Zatzal, and he brings in the idea that Purim is actually quite a very natural occurrence that happened. Like, it's not so abnormal miracle that you have a king who doesn't know really what he's doing, right? There's a president who doesn't know what he's doing. It's not such a crazy idea of having that he makes a random rash decision to just chop off his head. I mean, the head of his wife. I remember Louis. I think it was Louis XIV. There were lots of kings in history that had these very spontaneous. Let's just kill the wife and let's just do this. Let's just do that. And so there was nothing here that was really against teva in this whole entire story of Purim. And actually, we don't even see the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the whole entire story of Purim. In the whole Megillah, Hashem is not Gelui. There's nothing revealed here. We're reading this whole story and we're seeing that our life is actually a life of teva. It's nature. Like, why should I be surprised if my children make a mess? Aren't children supposed to make a mess? And yet I'm shocked by it and I feel insulted even by it. If they spill the milk, what am I getting upset about? It's called nature. Everything in life is actually called nature. And actually everything in life, we have to see the Yad Hashem, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in every single thing that we're doing. That we have to understand when I go to the supermarket and I'm buying my eggs, it's not that just there's a whole shelf full of eggs. It's also natural that there might not be any eggs. And I feel like if a person lives their life like this, that every single step, it's like we have billions and billions of, I don't know what it's called for air, the quantity of air. And we're taking a deep breath. And you know what? Now we've seen this past year, there are people who do not take breaths anymore. They can't breathe on their own. And it's kind of natural. And it's not natural, if you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that when we live our life, when we open our eyes, that actually HaKadosh Baruch Hu is within the nature, that he put those eggs in the supermarket just for me. It's not just happens to be that there's lots of eggs today, or today there's no eggs, and that's also just for me. But I go through my whole entire life knowing that these moments, that every breath I'm taking, I know it's also very hard, to thank Hashem for every breath you take is not an easy feat. We don't even have a bracha for this because it's almost impossible, but to be a constant state of gratitude and thanking Hashem for the nature. But I think that there are at least 3 times a day a person can stop themselves, really stop themselves. I personally do it in Modim. When I'm davening and I say the bracha of Modim, and I love that we just said Mizmor Todah, because it's also, it's a segula, actually the same as Mizmor Todah, when you're midst of birth and in the midst of a challenging time, that you actually stop and you say, thank you Hashem for putting me in this. And I find that if I just 3 times a day, I stop myself and I say in Modim, and a person doesn't have to do it necessarily in a formal way, but I stop myself and I say, oh, this just happened to me, this one thing in the morning, Hashem, I'm going to stop myself and thank you for it. It's like the kisses of a Kadosh Baruch Hu to remind me that inside of every single act of nature, it's a miracle. And Hashem is just doing it for me. About 2 weeks ago, I had a very busy morning, and here also everything is very in Yerushalayim. It's been very undecided. What exactly are we in lockdown? Are we not in lockdown? Every day you don't know what's happening. Is there school? There's no school. Are you allowed to work? Are you not allowed to work? It's been a constant, I'm sure, like in many places, of an unknown. You don't even know. You wake up in the morning, you really don't know what's going to be in that day. And also like our weather today, we don't know if it's snowing or if it's not snowing. But really, we have no idea what's going on. So I had a morning where I wasn't sure if I was even allowed to work. And then I tried calling the Minister of Health if I could work. And I get the answer, the one who answered the phone for me says he doesn't know. I'm calling the Ministry of Health to find out if I can actually see clients that day. And he told me he didn't know. So he said, let's look it up on the internet together. Okay, this is great. So we're looking it up on the internet together, and it turns out I can. So I said, fantastic. So I had scheduled, I was going to go see a client for, it was a reflexology massage. And what was this client? This is a client with a very, very terrible cancer. She has a terrible machala. And I went to her home, and her whole entire body from the top to the bottom is in so much pain. And I see her that she's actually quite calm, and she's very serene. And she's telling me in a calm voice that I am in so much pain. And here we are in the midst of everyone has their own things going on in their lives, right? And I'm just thinking, what can I do to this poor woman? Like, what can I do to this woman? Is there any comfort that I can, any physical comfort that I can give her whatsoever? As I'm trying to massage her legs, just trying to give her warm touch, she says to me, again, I am in so much pain. And then she says to me, but I know that there's always first the Erev and then the Boker. There's always first the evening and then there's the morning. And that gave me such koach. And I thought to myself, that's Teva. The Teva that Hashem created the world, the nature that Hashem created the world, is that first there is always nighttime, and then there's always day. There's first darkness, and then there's light. This is actually the Teva. This is the way Hashem creates the world. So here we are in this time. And I think within each one of us, each person is going through their own thing. There are moments of the day where they have this darkness, and you have to know that just as there is this darkness right now, I have to understand something, that Hashem also created something that's called morning. And I see it so much also within birth, which is just such an amazing, incredible experience, because the way a person comes into this world is with a contraction. It's with a wave. And if you think about it, the way we see is with sight waves. The way we hear is with sound waves, the way, not sight waves, UV rays, right? Or light waves. Meaning the way everything in our lives, the ocean is a wave. It goes up and it goes down. I always tell the woman, just keep focused on this contraction right now. You don't have to think about how am I going to make it another 4 hours. You just have to get through this one. Hashem wants us to get through each contraction of our lives Each challenge of our life, knowing that it's going to get really high and there's a peak, and it gets really low, and then it's over. And you get one step closer to Bezat Hashem, to the Geula, to Mashiach coming, to what the Mashal is always our parable of that, where we are getting closer. Each contraction is bringing us closer, which is just a normal phenomenon of how Hashem created the body, that a woman should bring a child into this world. So here we are, and I feel like it's been such a long year, and I feel like we're actually in a very, very long labor. And I'll tell you something very also interesting that has happened to me this year is that almost, I'm sorry, 1 second, because this is very natural with my home right now that there's a lot of noise. I have a handful of kids who don't have school for the past 10 months. And today is no different than it's been forever. So, so what's interesting to me this past year of my birth is that women are all, first of all, they're all late. 99% of the women have given birth late, past their due date. And there's a lot of reasons. First of all, you're not so mobile. Everyone's stuck at home. I think also there's such tension and anxiety in the air that it's very hard to relinquish and let go and just, and also let's just face it, it's Ratzon Hashem. Hashem wants it. This is the time the woman's going to give birth. So here we are in these very, 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 Mamila, please, not right now, sweetie, I'm getting a class. Go out. Okay. Sorry. So here we are in this very, 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 it's snowing right now. So it's very exciting. It's finally snowing to us. My daughter just told me. So here we are, and I have all these women, and they're in these very, they're waiting to give birth. They're waiting to give birth. They're waiting to give birth. And I'm always telling them there is a time. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows exactly the right time when it's going to happen. And then I found something very interesting is also happening. They're having really long labors, longer than I've experienced actually. Very, very long labors in the beginning stage. And then all of a sudden, I'm telling you, it's just gotten so quick, and then the baby is born. And I really feel like this is what's happening to us. We have to take a couple of things in mind. We have to know, first of all, that Hashem really is revealing him, and we've seen this so much with this epidemic or pandemic, I don't know what it's called, is that right now we're living a time where Hashem is so telling us that he's in the Teva. And I'm going to ask each one of us to open our eyes, try to do it 2 or 3 times throughout the day, and just thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for something that's an natural thing. Like, thank you. The Hashgacha Prat is that, like, I got to the light and it could have been red and it's green. Or I got to the light and Hashem, I'm actually thanking you that it is red, because then it gets to mean that I can stop for a second. Right? So these 3 just practical tips that I'm seeing Hashem within the Teva of my life, the Hashgacha practice. The other thing I'm going to ask us is to understand and to hold on to the fact that really life is a contraction. We get through one, we go through it, it ends, and then it's another one, but it's bringing us each closer and closer to that birth. And to also take into account to know that even if something feels like it's happening for such a very long time and it's never going to happen, so this is where the Rebbeinu Shalom is asking us, just hold out a little bit longer, because then when it comes, it's going to be so quickly, B'ezrat Hashem, that all of a sudden then we have the baby in our arms, B'ezrat Hashem. And I think that another thing that I just personally do that I find so helpful to myself is every morning when I say the bracha, Pokech Yivarim, in the morning bracha, there's that Hashem should open up the blinds. I really put in my Hashem, I really want to see you, because I want to see the Hashgacha practice in my life. I want to see you within my Teva. I want to see you to know that in that moment, like I said, when I'm lighting candles, that I know that this is Teva and also this is Teva. And I thank you for all of it. That when I see there's a mess and there has to be something to pick up, I'm thanking you for it. I want to see you in the mess, and I want to see you when the house is clean. I want to see you when there's eggs in the supermarket. I want to see when there's not eggs in the supermarket. I want to know in Hashem, I want to feel every single kiss. And this is what Purim is also about. Because Purim is not the holiday where Hashem splits the sea open for us and we see this huge miracle. And it's not the one where we have this huge Har Sinai and there's shofarot and there's horns and everything and the bird stops. It's not this wow. And it's not this Aneh Kavod that we see all this Hashem surrounding us, and it was such this Eish and fire and a cloud. And we don't even see Hanukkah, where it's like this little tiny pitsy army, was able to fight against this huge Greek force. Purim is just Hashem. It's today. It's my day of telling you that I see you, that I want to see you, and I have to know that you're giving me a kiss. This is what Purim is about. This is this time right now, and that's really also what Simcha is about, because Simcha is about, if you take the word Simcha, you see it's Sham and Moach, which means there and my brain, where my head is, where my thoughts are. That Hashem just put me in the place where I see you, and that's joy, that's contentment, that's the connection. So, but the Hashem, we should be zoche, with all these beautiful tilim and the beautiful nishmat, and that you say every day, and the beautiful connection that you do with each other, is also that's teva, but it's also not teva, that Hashem created such a beautiful platform that so many women can get together and connect. So we should all be zoche b'zat Hashem, to be connected, to be opening our eyes, to be seeing Hashem in every single thing that we do and feel, and to be able to just pass through the contraction, pass through the hard times, knowing that it's getting us closer and closer b'zat Hashem to bringing the Mashiach.